Hello guys, welcome back to this tutorial. In this tutorial, we are going to discuss another interview question. And the question is, why do we need to write test classes? And how to identify if a class is a test class. Now, the reason the test classes is very important, basically to test your code. So test classes and test methods are verify whether a particular piece of code is working the way you expect it. If that particular piece of code fails, then the developers or the testers can accurately locate that test class which is failing, and they can figure out that which code is not working the way expected. So test classes are very helpful in order to test your changes, in order to see if the code is working the way you expected, and also in case of any issues or in case of any bugs, then it is easier to find the location of the issues if you have test classes running. Because if one of the test fails, you know that this is the test case which is failing, and then you can figure out why it is failing. So it's easy to debug the error as well. Now, how can you identify if a class is a test class? A test class will always be annotated with this keyword called as @istest. So this is the keyword that you will see on every test class. And if you do not annotate a class with it @istest, then you cannot define it as a test class. And any method also, if it is a test method, either it is going to use this keyword test method keyword should be there. So every test class will have an is test annotation, and also the methods of the test class will have this keyword called test method, which will tell you that, hey, this is a test class and these are the methods. Now, the reason we need to write the test class is so that you can test your code. That is one of the reason. And there are a lot of different benefits of Apex unit test. So the first important benefit is to ensure that your Apex class and triggers are working the way as you expect it to. So that is one of the benefit for writing the unit test. Then the second benefit is if you have a suite of regression tests, you can run or rerun those tests every time you make any updates to a particular class or trigger. So when you have a pseudo regression test running for every update that you are doing, then you can make sure that all the future updates that you are doing is not breaking the existing functionality, because these test classes are already written by you. And what you have to do is, you just after you have updated your code and you have made changes to your triggers, etc., you just rerun these test suites, and then it will go ahead and run with the new code. And if you are breaking any functionality, then those test cases will fail. And if you are not, that means that you are not breaking any existing functionality. So that is very important benefit of writing the unit test, so that you can check that your future updates are not breaking your existing functionality. And another important thing that you need to write unit test is because you have this code coverage requirement from the force.com platform before you deploy your code to production. So you have to have 75% code coverage. So you have to have 75% code coverage if you want to deploy any code to production environment. So in order to have that code coverage, you need to write unit test. And with the help of these unit tests, you deliver a high quality applications to the production so that it doesn't break that easily. It does not come with lot of faults, so it makes production users more productive. So these are the benefits of writing unit test. You test your code the way you expect it. If there is an error, it is easier to locate what is causing the error. Then the second benefit is if you are updating your existing class and triggers and you rerun your test suite, then it can test that the future updates, it can guarantee that your future updates should not break your existing functionality. So you can make sure with the help of these unit tests. The third benefit is there is 75% code coverage that you need to do in order to deploy your code to production. So in order to meet that requirement, you have to write the test classes. So these are the benefits of writing the unit test. Now, there might be a question in the interview or in your exam that what is the minimum test coverage required for the trigger to deploy? So in Salesforce, if you want to deploy your code to production, I'm not talking about a test environment. I'm talking about once you have done everything, once you have written down your code, you have tested it, and it's working the way you expect it to. If you want to deploy your code to production, then you must make sure that you have at least 75% of your Apex code is covered by the unit test, and all those tests needs to be successful in order to deploy your code changes to production. And what do I mean by 75% of the Apex code covered by unit test? I will explain that with the help of an example where you will see that unit test can actually tell you that which of the lines of the Apex code are we have covered. And so have we have to make sure that 75% of your Apex code needs to be covered by the unit test. So the answer to the question is 75% is the minimum required. Then what is the syntax of this test classes and the test method? As I mentioned you that every test class will have this annotation called @is test, which tells you that hey, that this particular class is a test class, and all the methods inside of this test class will take no arguments, will not have any arguments, should not take any arguments, and they will be using this @test annotation. Either you can use @is test annotation. I, it, this is sorry, before this is test, will come. We'll have a mistake in PPT. I will correct it later, but you can make sure that is test is the annotation. So in order to tell that this is a test method, this as test annotation is required. So you have two options. You can use the same annotation that you use on a class or for the method as well, or you can use this keyword this keyword I will show you this bit. Wait, will erase this. You can also use this keyword test method with the method name as well in order to represent that it is a test method. These are the syntax of writing the test method. So test method take no arguments, and you can see here that you are using this @is test annotation. It's a static void test name. The return type is void. It does not take the test method any arguments. And alternatively, if you do not want to use this annotation, you can use this keyword test, and that will represent the method as a test method. Now, test method should always be defined inside of the test class. That is important. Test method should always be defined inside of the test classes. And if you are writing a test class, it has to have this annotation called @is test annotation. So that is the annotation it will have @is test. Then you can see here the methods inside of the test class will either be marked with this @is test notation, or it will be a test method. You can use the keyword test method as well. So this is how you will display that this is a test class. Normal class will not have this @test annotation. Only a test class will have this annotation, and all the methods inside of this test class either will have this annotation, or you will use that keyword test keyword with the method. So now what we're going to do is, in the next tutorial, we are going to do some examples related to how to write test classes, how to cover the code coverage, what do you mean by the code coverage, and how you test the class, and how you need to prepare a right unit test, etc. And not just to meet the requirement of 75 code coverage, but you should actually, your target should be you want to make sure that your code is well tested with all the different scenarios, with all the different types of data, so that it does not cause any issues during the runtime, or we can say that during the production. So let's meet in next tutorial. Till then, have a good day. Bye.